Dave Williams, original guitarist with the Jaywalkers.
Thank you.
The only man ever who was felt good enough to stand in for Colin Manley with the Remo 4. That was Dave Williams. The only one ever to do it. There he is. So let's give Dave a big round of applause for that.
Yeah, I got the set for that as well. I'll put this mic down. You need a little bit of sellotape on this or insulate tape.
I'll take that.
Don't want it going on and off for Chaz here while he's... hello, there's a cat there. Good one, Mersey cat. No, you can't use that phrase. It's patented.
We can't use Mersey cat. We can't use lanky cat. We can't use Cheshire cat. So would anybody like to christen this cat? Ford cat.
Ford cat.
Anything better than that? Ford cat. What was that? River cat.
What about Dougie's cat?
Dougie cat.
Hey, here's Derek with the insulating tape.
Derek cat.
Wow.
Come on, we don't want a name for this cat.
Mersey cat.
No, we can't use Mersey. You Brighton cat. What cat? Bright cat. Chop cat. Pussycat.
Top cat.
Skiffle
Oh,
cat.
that sounds good.
Skiffle cat.
Hey, Skiffle cat.
Yes.
Yes.
Hands up for Skiffle cat. Yeah. Unanimous.
Yeah. Up. Who was that comedian? Yeah? The mic used to go on and off. Norman Callie. Well, you don't have to do it purposely on this one. Does it by itself?
Thanks, Dave. Right, we're going to carry on there. We are running a little bit ahead. That's great. Manfred's around there. He's going to be there all afternoon, so don't worry. And he has got he's got one box, I think, there, so that's great. But right now, you don't want to miss this because I don't think this gentleman's been here before. We certainly haven't interviewed him here before. Doris and I have known him for quite a long time now. Really, really great guy, but you'll find out more later. We haven't rehearsed. Oh, no notes. Sorry, Chaz. No notes here, mate. There's no time for anything like that. So I'm going to bring him up now, and he's driven all the way. He lives in a great place. He lives in a place, he actually lives in between Windsor Castle. And when I say in between Windsor Castle, I mean it. He lives in between Windsor Castle and Eton College. And it really is a beautiful, beautiful place. And Doris and I went to visit him, and we didn't, there was no answer. I got to tell you this before he comes over. Yeah, I know, it's yeah. Hey, hang up on us and all this, yeah. We went to visit him and there was no answer at the door, so we went looking for him, and there's people walking around Eton Village with top hats and tails and all the boys and all that, you know. We said, where are we going to find him here? We saw one guy, ponytail, leather jacket and jeans walking up the road, and we said, that's Chaz McDevitt. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Chaz McDevitt! Woo! The king of skiffle! Thanks, Chaz. You can go around there if you need a step. Don't worry about that, they're only the raffle prizes. Thanks, Chaz. Sit yourself down, Chaz. Got that mic? And once again, it's not me you're going to hear, it's Chaz. You're going to hear the stories. We've got some great stories, and he'll give you all the years, because I haven't done a lot of research, because I do know him. There's so much with this man going back. I think I'm right. The first person English act to appear on the Ed Sullivan Show. Yeah, and the first pop group to appear on the Ed Sullivan Show. I mean, he actually did a series of Sunday night ABCs with the Beatles. Appeared everywhere in the world, everywhere in the country. #1 hit record, big hit record in America, and it is still playing today. Obviously, you'll see this later on because we're going to have a ball. So, Chaz, tell us a little bit. I also forgot to tell you that he did open a coffee bar. We have the Two Eyes in London, and Chaz opened his own coffee bar called the Freight Train Coffee Bar. Yeah. And I want you to tell the story about shaking all over.
Oh, right, yeah.
But tell us the early days, Chaz, go.
No, the Freight Train, we worked the Two Eyes Coffee Bar about the same time as the Vipers. They started there in '56. And later, when I had the success with the record, I got my own coffee bar. And it became a place where all the groups would pick up to go off to a gig and drop off late at night after the gig. And the guys had their girlfriends. Some of them were working in the nightclubs as dancers, so they'd be sitting around my coffee bar at 2 or 3 in the morning waiting for the girls to come home. And one night, Brian Gregg and Fred, whatever his name was, Fred became Johnny Kidd, and Clem Catini were in the coffee bar, and they realised the next day they had a session, and they didn't have a B-side, so they went downstairs in the basement and sat on these empty Coca-Cola crates and broken doors, no guitar, and just rocked out this Shaking All Over. And it became the best rock and roll hit in the UK, in British.
And it was sort of a surprise really here, because it was the B-side, somebody turned it over, some record player guy turned it over and played the B-side, yeah?
Yeah.
And that was, did they just come up and say, oh, we've just written this and thanks a lot, you know, and off we went?
Well, I don't know, it was quite a surprise for them that they get that B-side. But the freight train itself is where Hank met his first wife.
Really?
Yeah, so a lot of the groups have come through there. And we used to go on American air bases, and we'd hire a driver and a van to take us and the group to an American air base. And this driver, I remember he was getting, for the gig, for the use of his van and to take us to the base and back again, was getting 11 quid. And he was a part-time stuntman, and he finished up managing Led Zeppelin.
Really? So he was getting £11 for the gig.
Yeah.
You probably wouldn't get that each then, would you?
No. Well, yeah.
Oh, was you getting that much then, yeah?
No, not each. We'd get about 18 quid for the show.
Yeah. It was always the van driver, wasn't it?
This was Peter Grant was the guy. Peter Grant finished up living in a castle and managing Led Zeppelin. Fantastic.
But the other thing, Chaz, is tell us a bit about the Ed Sullivan, because you had a problem with that, didn't you, when you went over there?
Oh yeah, we because in the 30s, the Duke Ellington band came to this country, and there was such a sensation that the English musicians said, if they get any more American bands over here, there won't be any work for us. They're too good. So they banned American musicians coming to the UK. And so the Americans reciprocated and banned English musicians going to the States. So when it came to plug our record, in fact when Lonnie went over to plug Rock Island 9, I got a photograph of him on the stairs of the plane going in with his guitar, and he never got to play it. They wouldn't let him play the guitar. He had to sort of click his fingers because he was classed as a musician there, so they wouldn't. With us, they tried to ban us going over. And in the end they said, well, we need to have the washboard to get the sound. So they let us use 3 American musicians. And we had Nancy, myself, Mark Sharrett on washboard, and we used 3 American musicians. And that's the way we got round it, you know. And when we were doing the Ed Sullivan show, it was the same night that the Everly Brothers were on singing Bye Bye Love. And whilst we were running through the number, they came over to the guitar player we were using, the American guy, and they seemed to be falling over this guy, saying, show us this, show us that. And I said to them, who is he? I just thought he was a pick-up guy, you know. They said, but don't you know? They said, well, Sugarfoot Rag, or Sugarfoot Stomp. It was Hank Garland. Now, have you heard of Hank Garland?
I'm sure there's people out there who have, yeah.
Elvis, did all Elvis's big records, all those things. Fantastic guitar player. And I remember him saying to me, what do you want me to play? Because we didn't have music. And I said, well, just go ching-a-ching, ching-a-ching. And he said, are you sure?
That's like asking James Burton to play guitar boogie or something. Yeah.
Yeah. And of course we did that show, and it was difficult to get into the country because the unions wouldn't allow us. You know, we had to get a woman whose father was a big wheel in the Teamsters union to work the oracle to get us into the country in the first place. And then when we did the Ed Sullivan show, Rusty Draper did it 1 week, and we weren't due to be on till a fortnight later. Now he'd covered Freight Train, so it meant we were going to be 2 weeks late with the She managed to get Ed Sullivan to say, next week we have the people who did the original version, and brought the show forward a week. I said to her, these fantastic little birds, I suppose. I said to her, how did you manage that? And she said, my bedroom diplomacy.
But you had the hit there though, Chas, didn't you?
Oh yeah, we had quite a big hit with it.
Well, it did. I mean, to get you over on the Ed Sullivan show.
I'll tell you another story on that. That has only come to light in recent years. I was contacted on the internet by a guy called Randy Sparks. Now, I'm sure you might not know the name, but he was the leader of the New Christy Minstrels.
Yeah.
Green, he wrote Green, all those songs. And he contacted me a little while back, and he said, you know when you did the Ed Sullivan show, he said, you had Rusty Draper doing it one week, and you did it the second week. He said, well, I was in the Navy, in the American Navy, he said, and I won a talent competition, the prize being to sing my own song on the Ed Sullivan show. So I went along to do my own song, and when I got there, Ed Sullivan said, no, you've got to do Freight Train. He said, well, I don't know Freight Train. He said, no, you've got to do Freight Train, otherwise you won't be. And he said, I refused. And he said, I was confined to barracks. And somebody else came and did the song the third week. And he said, I've only just discovered recently that somebody was paid, well, he actually gave me the names of the people, was paid $10,000 for 3 airings of Freight Train on the Ed Sullivan show.
Really? Wow.
And he says, I've just discovered this now. And he said, it's not the first time that happened, because it happened prior to that with Bo Diddley. Bo Diddley was booked to sing his song, Bo Diddley. Yeah. And they said, no, you've got to do 16 tons.
Oh,
you imagine Bo Diddley doing 16 tons. He said, well, I don't do that. They said, you've got to do 16. He said, okay. So it being a live show, ladies and gentlemen, Bo Diddley, and he goes straight into Bo Diddley, forget 16 tons.
He really thought that.
So, I mean, he got away with it. He got away, but he was never used again. Nevertheless, he got
that plug-in, wow. Well, yeah, that was good. But you'd never had seen a recording of that, Chas, had you, for a long, long time?
Off the show, no.
Yeah, and then you turned up. You sent me a letter, if you remember.
Yeah,
You'd been in having dinner with Frank Allen.
Yes.
At the Searchers.
Yeah.
And we sent you that poster.
Yeah.
And then the next thing we know, I got the copy of the Ed Sullivan show, which you'd never seen. I'd never seen it myself, to be honest with you. Yeah. And that must have really come out of somebody's archives.
Yeah, I don't know where they got it, because I've tried getting the official version from the Ed Sullivan, and they don't seem to have it.
I got it on a DVD called The Best of Ed Sullivan. There was a lot of Beatles stuff on it, and your stuff was on it too.
But was it just the song or the whole show?
No, I got the whole show. There was a juggler. It was like a variety show.
Yeah,
the Everleys are on it.
The Everleys were on it. The Kirby Stone Four.
That's right.
They were pretty good.
I think I sent you the whole show. Yeah.
And there was Joe, Johnny, and Jack. They used to dress up in bowler hats and tails.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And Malcolm Campbell Jr. So
wonderful memory, isn't it? Terrific, you know. Then Chas, of course, you did those shows with the Beatles at the ABC in Blackpool, didn't you?
Yeah.
Because funnily enough, in the Liverpool Echo, and if anybody saw on Granada or Look North, BBC Look North on Friday night, you would have seen Dave Jameson going on about his brother Russell, about his coat, and there was a picture of Russell with the 4 Beatles in the ABC Blackpool. Well, actually, it was Chas who took that photo. Yeah. And they had to get in touch with you to get copyright to use that, didn't they?
Yeah, right. Yeah. We did a lot of Sunday concerts in Blackpool. We'd do Blackpool one week, Morecambe the next. And it was either with the Dave Clark Five or Jerry and the Pacemakers or the Beatles or the Moody Blues. And we did some with the Beatles. And I had my still camera. I took a lot of stills on the side of the stage. But we'd also got a movie camera. And we took movies of the Beatles, side of the stage and backstage in the dressing room. And in colour, but no sound. And there's shots of when George and John Lennon see us with the movie camera, they grab a piece of paper and they pretend they're reading a script and they're acting out a scene, you know. And there's another shot John and myself. I'm standing behind John. We're combing our hair forward. Yeah, my wispy hair, you know, and his hair coming forward. And at the final, there's one of Shirley playing Paul's bass, and there's another shot in the dressing room where Hank and Bruce come to the dressing room door, and John Lennon grabs Hank's glasses, sticks his, and gives him his own glasses. And there's some great shots of Dringo playing on stage. and one of Lennon playing, and he sees the camera in the wings, and he comes right over to the camera, puts his face right into the camera, and that was all on a home movie.
That was a handheld cinema.
Yeah. And I sold it at Sotheby's a few years ago. Didn't get as much as I thought I would, but I got quite a bit. And recently, the guy who collected that stuff did a television program and asked me to describe the scene. He's got a lot of Beatles and named like Hayden Howard. And he asked me to describe the scene and the situation that thing. That night, I remember, we stayed behind to see the show, and we waited for the Beatles to finish to go home. And we couldn't get out of the theatre till 1 in the morning. The street was packed full of people. We couldn't move, and they wouldn't let us out. They got out over the roof or something, you know, but we couldn't get out.
And you know, when you think, I mean, there's a lot of people in here sort of work with the Beatles in sort of 60, 61, a lot of people in here. And we never had any trouble getting out of anywhere, when you think about it. And it goes from that to that. But the Everly Brothers, yeah, they were live when you saw them, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
And was that impressive? Yeah?
Oh, yeah. And there was just 2 guitars. I keep listening. Every time I play this Sullivan show back, I listen to them, and it's just the 2 guitars. There's no other backing, and it's so full.
They just sing so well together, you see.
Amazing, amazing.
Chaz, you obviously met a lot of people, but you met Jane Mansfield, didn't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Was she nice?
She was very.
I'm not so sure I should have brought this up or not, but
No, she was.
too late now, Chaz.
She was very giggly.
Yeah.
You know, and it was a sexy giggle. You know.
Yeah.
And when she had a fur coat on, and
There's an old saying in Liverpool, you know, Chaz, fur coat.
well, that's maybe what excited me. Yeah,
Nothing else, just a fur coat. Yeah.
yeah. That was,
So she was nice. Yeah?
she was quite pleasant. She didn't know what it was. It was the preview of The Girl Can't Help It.
Yeah.
And she'd come along for the showing, and they thought we'd meet her and take a guitar along, and the caption was that, you know, she's gonna get interested in skiffle.
Really. What a shame. What a waste. But you actually did the Tommy Steele story, didn't you?
Did the film? Yeah.
Yeah, the film with the Tommy Steele. So if anybody's got that, Chaz is actually in there.
Oh, don't remind me of that.
Was that bad?
Well, no, it's when I whistle.
Yeah.
It's no expression. You should be. You got no sort of expression, and the producer said, "You can't tell that you're whistling." And we were miming just for a start. You know, you can't tell you're whistling. You should put something into it. So and every time I see that, I look so camp. It turns me over, you know. And it's there for posterity.
Oh yeah, so you can't get away from it, Chaz. I've got it at home. I watch it quite often. But that's it. No, I don't particularly.
Not for that reason.
I don't know. Not for that reason. I just look at it and see what Jane Mansfield is. But no, actually that is a great film, that, because when Tommy Steele's playing in the Café de Paris,
Yeah.
I just think that's a great number. I think there was Rock with the Caveman or something,
yeah.
and it was great, wasn't it? Because you know, there was nothing technical or anything, was it? It was just pure rock and roll, wasn't it? You know.
Yeah. Well, going back to the Ed Sullivan thing, when we were in New York, it was July the 4th weekend, and we were invited to go up into the Catskills to hear some jazz, and I said, no, I want to go down into the village where George Lewis and his New Orleans band would play, because I'm a real New Orleans jazz fan. And we went down to see George Lewis, and he had his band there, and Tony Parenti on clarinet, and Conrad Janis on trombone. All these guys were playing there. It was great. But Nancy